Hello, this is Joachim from Playing Piano with Chords. This is part 3 of the video series on how to read piano sheet music. It's based upon a chapter of the Playing Piano with Chords book, which you can check out at playingpianowithchords.com. Now that you know where to place the written notes on the keyboard, let's look at time and rhythm in musical notation. The 5 lines of the staff not only show you the pitch of the notes, but they're written from left to right just as a written text. And just as moving from left to right on a line of text will give you individual letters that form words and sentences, moving on the staff in sheet music will give you individual notes which form melodies and music. To structure this movement in time, the staff is divided into measures or bars, using bar lines. The length of the measures or bars depends on the time signature. For example, a 4/4 time signature tells you that each bar has the length of 4 quarter notes. You will learn everything about time signatures later in this video. For now, let's stick with a 4/4 time signature. Okay, now we have said that one bar in 4/4 time has 4 quarter beats to it. Now these 4 beats can be filled with different note lengths. Just think of a nice cake that can be divided into more and more pieces, depending on how many guests you have coming. Let's have a look. The first note we're going to look at is a whole note. It lasts for the whole measure of 4 beats. So that would be your full cake. It is depicted by this hollow note head without any note stem attached. You count it 1, 2, 3, 4. One whole note contains 2 half notes, so that's 2 pieces of cake. And it's simple math. Each of these half notes is 2 beats long, so half as long as a whole note. They have the same hollow note head, but have a plain note stem attached. To count them, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. The next subdivision are quarter notes, which you have already seen before. The whole note contains 4 quarter notes. A half note would contain 2 quarter notes. For the quarter notes, just play 1 note on each count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter notes can be subdivided into even smaller fractions. Each quarter note contains 2 eighth notes. So the whole bar in 4/4 contains 8 eighth notes. Single eighth notes have a full note head with a note stem that has 1 flag attached. If they appear in groupings, the 1 flag is replaced by the horizontal bar that you see here. To count the extra notes, you add an and between every count, because now you have 8 notes on 4 beats. Sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The next ones we're going to look at are 16th notes. Just as before, they're another subdivision. So each 8th note contains 2 16th notes. A quarter note thus would contain 4 16th notes, and so on. They are depicted by a full note head with a stem that has 2 flags attached. In groupings, they come with these 2 horizontal bars. To count 16th notes, you need 4 beats for each quarter note, so you count 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So with a metronome, it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. This way of vocalizing the rhythm helps a lot if you want to figure out certain pieces of music. Okay, so by now we have divided the notes evenly using multiples of 2, like 2, 4, 8 and 16. You can also divide them into triplets, which will give you 12 counts. Just like on a clock. So if you divide each of the 4 quarter notes into 8th note triplets, you get these 12 notes. Each the duration of 1/3 of a quarter note. You count them 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. This gives you a very different feel from the even divisions we had before. Another way to count these is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, with one count on each syllable. Okay, that's it for the note values. We leave it at that, even though there are other subdivisions such as quintuplets, sextuplets, triple quarter notes, or 30-second notes. But most of the time you will see only the ones we just covered. Here's an overview of all the note values we have covered so far. You can see them stacked up like a pyramid so that you can see how many notes fit into each other. You can find this image in the download below the video. Now, for each note value, you have a corresponding rest as well. You have a whole rest, which has the value of 4 quarter beats, a half rest, which has the value of 2 quarter beats, and so on. Here's a quick overview. Remember the cake? We're going to use it again. So, a whole note rest lasts for 1 complete bar. Looks like a cake, but upside down. It hangs on the second line from the top of the staff, and it's 4 beats long. So you just count 1, 2, 3, 4 without playing anything. Next, there's a half rest, which lasts for 2 beats. You can imagine it as a cake, but this time not upside down, sitting on the third line from the top. In this example, you have 1 half note on beats 1 and 2, and a half rest on beats 3 and 4. Sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, there's the quarter rest, which lasts for 1 beat. It has a very unique symbol, and you can memorize it by imagining the cake again, having 4 weird candles upon it. Counting is easy. 1, rest, 3, rest. So it's rests on 2 and 4. Moving on, you have the 8th rest. It has the length of half a beat or half a quarter note, and you can memorize it by imagining the cake again, but this time it has 8 flags upon it. You know, these flags that you can buy for birthday parties. Okay, counting is 1, rest, 2, rest, 3, rest, 4, rest. So in this case, all the rests are on the ends. They could also be on the beats, of course. 16th rests look just like the 8th rests, but they have 2 flags attached. And of course, they are half as long, just as long as a 16th note or 1/4 of a quarter note. So to memorize it, you can imagine the cake again, but this time you have 16 of these double flags upon it. Counting is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So you use the same vocalization as for 16th notes. You just rest when there's a rest in the notation. And lastly, you have the rests in the 8th note triplets, and they are just as long as one of those triple 8th notes. And in this example, they're not evenly distributed, but on different counting times. You count 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So you just rest whenever you see the symbol and count accordingly. Another thing you will see are dotted notes. If you see a dot after a note, it means that the note length is increased by half of its original value. So for example, this dotted half note has 3 beats to it, 2 for the half note and 1 for the dot. The dotted quarter note in the second measure has 1.5 beats to it, or 3/8 beats. 1 for the quarter note and another half one for the dot. That's why there is an 8th rest on the 2 end to complete the second beat. So here's how you count it. 1, 2, 3, rest, 1, 2, rest, 3, 4. So you count the rest on the 2 end in the second bar. Okay, you're almost done. There's only a few things left. One of them is the time signature. You've seen the 4/4 time signature before. Now let's see how it works properly. The time signature tells you how many beats there are in each bar of a piece of music. And it tells you how long these beats are. There are two numbers. The upper number tells you how many beats there are within each bar. In this 4/4 time signature, there are 4 beats per bar. To know how long these beats are, take a look at the lower number. It tells you that each beat is to be counted as a quarter beat. So you have the upper number telling you the number of the beats and the lower number telling you the length of each beat. The 4/4 time signature is the most common time signature in most of Western music. It's widely used in rock, pop, blues, funk, country, and lots of other styles. Here are some other common time signatures. If you have a 3/4 time signature, you have 3 beats per bar, each the length of a quarter note. This one is also very common. For example, if you have a waltz, you have a 3/4 feel, which goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on. 3/4 is used a lot in classical music, but also in ballads or R&B music. 2/4 or 2/4 beats per measure is used a lot in marches, bum bum badum bum badum bum badum, but also in polkas or other fast music. A 12/8 time signature means that there are 12 eighth notes within each bar. This time signature is used in slow blues, for example, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It gives you this slow blues feel. If you see a bold C instead of the time signature, it means common time, and it's a 4/4 time signature. A C with a line in the middle denotes a 2/2 time signature, where every bar contains 2 half notes. It's called cut time or cut common time, and it's used in marches or faster music. As you can see, the time signature gives you a hint about the rhythmic feel of the piece you are playing. And of course, it tells you how to count it properly. So depending on the time signature, you have to count to 4, to 3, or to 12 before you move on to the next bar. There are many other time signatures as well, of course. You have also odd meters like 5/4, for example. But if you know the formula, you can always figure out how to count these. The last thing you need to know are key signatures. These are really important for you. The key of a piece denotes which of the 12 notes is the root or the tonal center of the piece. A piece in the key of C major will have the note C as its root and will be composed mainly of the notes of the C major scale. A piece in the key of D major will have D as its root and will be composed mainly of the notes of the D major scale. So if you know your key signature, you will know which notes you will mostly play within the piece and which notes you won't play within the piece. To understand the concept of key signatures, take a look at the D major scale. It consists of D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. So you can see that F sharp and C sharp are part of the D major scale. It would be really redundant to write a sharp next to each F and each C throughout the piece in D major. Instead, these 2 sharps are notated only once, right at the beginning of the sheet music, and are repeated at the beginning of each line. This is how it looks. So these 2 sharps at the beginning tell you that you have to play F sharp every time you find an F and C sharp every time you find a C written throughout the whole piece. Additional sharps or flats, which are also called accidentals, can still be added throughout the piece of music no matter what key it is written in. So if you come across an extra sharp or flat, you have to know that it is valid only for the duration of the bar it appears in. As soon as the next bar starts, all notes are to be played again as the key signature indicates. Besides sharps and flats, there is a third accidental to indicate that a previous sharp or flat is cancelled and that the note is to be played in its natural pitch. Again, this so-called natural sign is valid only during the bar it appears in, unless written in the key signature at the beginning, of course. So here's an example. The second note is a C sharp because of the key signature. The third note is a C natural, because the sharp has been cancelled by the natural sign. In the second bar, the second note is C sharp again, because the natural sign is valid only for the duration of one bar, and now the key signature tells you to play C sharp again. Here's how it sounds. So the natural sign cancels the sharp sign for the duration of one bar. Here's a chart with all the key signatures for major keys and minor keys. You can see that C major and A minor at 12 o'clock on top have no sharps and no flats. If you move down counterclockwise on the left side, you will see that with each key signature the number of flats increases. Here's the order of the flats as they appear. So let's say you have a piece in E flat, which is at 9 o'clock. You can see that it has 3 flats. So now you know you have to play B flat, E flat, and A flat throughout the whole piece, whenever you see a B, E, or A written. So you take the first 3 flats from the top. If you start at 12 o'clock again with C major or A minor, and you move down clockwise in the right direction, you have the same thing going on for sharps. So the number of sharps increases the more you move down. Here are the sharps in order of appearance. So let's say you have a piece in C sharp minor, for example, which is at 4 o'clock. You now know that you have to play F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp each time you see an F, C, G, or D written throughout the whole piece. So you always start on top and add the additional sharps or flats moving down. You can download this chart as well as the chart with the different note lengths by clicking the link below the video. Okay, great job! Here's a short piece of music that you can try to play, applying everything you have learned so far. The upper line is written in the treble clef and shows you which notes to play with your right hand. And the lower line is written in the bass clef and shows you which notes to play with your left hand. The tiny numbers above the notes show you which fingers you can use to play the notes. The piece is in 4/4 time, and it's in the key of D major. So try to figure out which notes you have to play as sharps. The notes that are written above each other are played at the same time. And if you count it right, everything should fit nicely. You might want to stop the video here and try it on your own before you hear how it sounds. Here it is for you to check if you were right. Just because you can read sheet music doesn't mean that you can play it right away. You will need to practice, of course. And with every piece that you play and read, you will improve your reading skills. This whole video series is based upon the Playing Piano with Chords book, which comes with lots of audio and video content. Please check it out at playingpianowithchords.com. In part 4, we're going to look at more musical symbols. If you want to leave a little thank you, please go to paypal.me/ppwchords or click the link below the video. Thank you for watching.